I don't
See,
want
look,
to get hurt.
look, I'm recording it right now.
Go ahead.
Okay, so
It's all right.
I'm driving.
It's one of those modern gimmicks.
Yeah, I got a fancy phone. Driving with my friend Eddie, my new friend who I met today. How long have you known my mom?
You know what? I'd say 3-4 years.
Okay.
When I knew her before, would she come in where I played music? So it could be 20 years.
So wait, now you're a musician too.
Yes.
What do you play?
Fretted instruments.
What's this now?
Fretted.
Oh, you gotta explain that.
Okay,
to me.
guitar. It's got frets on it.
String is.
No, frets are the little metal bars that go across it. Like a mandolin or a guitar or a banjo.
Okay.
They have frets on them.
So
frets are the little metal bars you put your fingers between.
It's got like a little country sound to it, or rock and roll, or what is it?
Anything, whatever you like.
Anything. I can't go left here, huh? I can go down that way. Where's that? Is that Route 11 down there?
Take it right here.
I'll get out this
Sweetheart
way.
Corner there.
Yeah.
Take it right here.
That Sweetheart Corner's been there for ages.
Well, what happened when the boys and girls were coming home from school, the guys used to carry their books, so the mothers called it Sweetheart Corner, so finally that's what happened. Right lane.
Yeah, I'm going to take a right on Taft and then all the way down to Rebecca. All right.
Yeah.
So for my 10 people who actually enjoy listening to these, I call them street conversations.
Sure.
Good stuff. I ask people, because we were talking earlier, you're a fascinating guy because you have read Confucius, you've read the Quran all the way through, and we were talking about what happens to people when they die for the faithful Muslim who follows the tenets of the Quran and the 5 pillars and all that. So here's the question that I'd ask you, Eddie, is
Sure.
Would you consider yourself to be a good person?
Yes.
Okay. How many lies do you think you've told in your life?
Millions.
Millions of lies. All right. What do you call somebody who tells millions
White
of
lies,
lies?
though.
They're just white lies, but they're
Yeah.
still lies nonetheless.
Yeah.
Right? So millions.
Like I lied today. I said there was 2 inches of snow, but it might be 4. So
I think we're closer to 6.
Yeah.
Maybe I've been living in Pennsylvania.
Maybe you're lying.
So, no, I'm guessing. No,
Yeah.
I'm not lying. Lying would be,
Yeah. Well, Mark Twain called them stretchers.
stretchers. Okay.
Yeah, if you ever read Huckleberry Finn.
So you're such a well-read guy. So all right, so let me go through my little thing here. So you've told millions of lies. Did you ever steal anything?
Yes.
You have.
Yeah.
Like what? Anything you can share with us? I used to
Well,
shoplift
rob
right
a
in.
bank,
I used to shoplift right in this area.
Maybe a pencil or something minor thing,
All right. So what do you call people who steal things?
Thieves.
Thieves. All right. Did you always honor mom and dad?
I would say yes. I would say yes. I had a wonderful mother and father.
Okay.
Yes.
Do you
I
think?
had total respect for it.
Do you think? Did you tell any of those millions of lies when you were living with your parents?
I would never think of lying to my mother and father.
So out of all
Out of the question.
so out of the millions of lies you told,
The general public,
Yeah.
one good lie deserves another. When
So-
a guy's lying to me, I'll lie to him. I don't care. I mean, if that's the level he's on, God bless him.
Sorry,
But they're stretchers, all. I would have to say that I wouldn't do anything that would be malicious.
Okay. Well, I think
That's different than
the lies that we tell. They're basically to protect ourselves, right?
Oh,
we
sure.
want to get out of a sticky situation, or we want to just avoid a problem, so we lie.
The basic is survival. We want to survive in life. And sometimes we have a lot of footwork,
All right,
obviously.
So we'll come back to that. Let me ask you a tough question, and I'll answer this question myself too. Have you ever looked lustfully at a woman before? Looked lustfully at her. Looked as though you wanted to
Make love to her?
make love to her.
Yeah.
You've done that.
But I wouldn't rape her.
No, I didn't say anything about rape. Do you know what
You mean
Jesus...
impure thoughts?
Yeah, impure thoughts,
yeah,
sure.
I've had those. Everybody's had those.
Okay, so do you know what Jesus said about that? Whether he
This
thought
is
that was a
Rebecca
good
here.
thing or... But yeah, I remember where we're at.
Well, lust is a cardinal sin.
It's a cardinal sin. So now, being
Well,
a
if
good
you
Catholic, is it a mortal sin?
No, what was explained to me by a very, very smart priest, he said, it's one thing to have an initial thought and then harboring lustful thoughts. That is a different thing. That becomes a neuroses, and unfortunately some kind of psychoses, and sometimes you end up as a homicidal murderer or a sex maniac. So there's different levels of lust, obviously. The different levels of lying. But so I think what we try to do in life is get it to the lowest level we can. Lowest meaning the less harmful.
And
What's
so,
the number?
yeah, 211. It's that gray one
Yep.
right there. I'm gonna try and back this bad boy up here. All right. So what Jesus said was that if you look lustfully at a woman, you've committed adultery with her in your heart. And he's telling these things to the Pharisees. You know, remember we were talking about the Pharisees and their understanding
That's absolutely true.
of things, and because they thought, well, I just got to be committing adultery, I got to be sleeping with a woman in order for it to be a problem. And Jesus says, no, it's the heart. He says, if you even look lustfully at a woman, you've committed adultery with her already in your heart, because he cares more about what's going on inside our heart and our mind. You know what I mean?
Well, he cares more about the woman getting raped.
Well, he cares about that too.
He doesn't want a malicious situation.
Yeah. So I didn't mean to slam the door on you. What were you saying?
Something I had.
Huh?
It was the women that were lustful, not me.
Oh,
I
well.
used to follow, one night I had two that followed me home after playing. He wanted to get with me.
Well, you're a musician, yeah.
Not
sure.
to have a cup of coffee either.
Oh, yeah. They're guilty of that too.
It's a double-edged sword. So where is it?
All right, I'm gonna need my gloves because we got more than 5 inches. We got at least. That looks
Well,
like.
there you
Well.
go.
Hi, Eddie.
Hey, Virgie.
Oh, hi, Mike.
Do you know why we're here?
Yeah, I guess your mom left me a message. I was
Don't
down
get cold there.
cellar.
Don't get cold.
Her, what you call it, Sarah?
Oh man, I am beat.
I feel I'm ready to go now.
You ready to go?
Yeah.
Hey, yeah, I hope I'm in your kind of shape when I'm 76, if I make it that long. God gives me that many years.
Just be good and you'll be fine.
Just be good. So back to being good. All right, so we were talking about being good.
Now we're talking about lust now, right?
Because I do think...
And what about these women, Bathsheba and all the Salome and all these? No, he never mentioned that. I wonder why he didn't mention that.
Who?
Jesus, he never mentioned about the bad women.
The bad? Well, he
Of course, he loved Mary Magdalene.
He encountered Mary Magdalene. He encountered the woman at the well, the woman caught in adultery. But he talked about a lot of women.
He saved her life too.
Yeah.
They were going to stone her.
That's right. That's right. So, all right. So we were talking about you have lied, you have stolen. Yeah, I think lying and stealing is dishonoring our parents.
There's an old French saying, a liar is a thief.
A liar is a thief, steals the truth.
He's stealing truth.
Oh, see, that's good. I'm going to use that. I think that's
I
good.
could give you 1,000,000 of those, baby.
Yeah. So, all right.
You should ride with me more.
Yeah. Well, so here's the situation. So we die. We stand before God. You know, the Bible says it's appointed for somebody to
Well,
die.
you don't stand before him. It's not a judge.
He's not a judge?
No, you don't stand in a courtroom. It's not an old guy with long hair looking down his nose at you say, well, you were a bad boy. That's that old childhood hierarchy that we learned when we were little kids.
What about...
Like the school principal and the President of the United States. I don't know, because that's... you're talking about godly things. That I guess the only way we can interpret it that way, but that's not what it is.
But it says that, though. It says that he's... You know, it says the just judge of all the earth.
Yes.
You know, it talks
right.
about that. It talks about...
Yeah, right.
Talks about it is appointed for a man to die once.
You're not going to stand before him and he's looking down on you.
But that's exactly what it says. It's appointed for a man to die once and then face the judgment.
Way God could wants you to understand about being responsible in that. Godly things, we don't know that. But it's a good way to show it. And by the way, he always did all the different allegories to things, and metaphorical things so
Well,
we could understand it.
par-
But he can't
parable.
talk God terms because we don't know what language God talks. You know, all he did was give us a Bible
Yeah.
to interpret it as best we could understand it, which makes sense, to the limits of our IQ and our ability to understand things.
I just take him at his word. You know, yes, he used parables.
That's good enough.
Not so much allegory, but parables he used to help us understand how
Exactly.
things operate.
Good stuff.
But when it says, though, that I'm going to be held accountable, I'm going to have to give an account, these are all judging
Well, those
terms.
are worldly terms. They're not really spiritual terms.
But
Those
how
are
about
worldly terms.
for every idle word I speak, I will have to give an account for that. Who am I giving the account to? God, right?
Yes.
So that's in a sense a judgment. He's judging me for my
Yes,
idle speak.
Sure, judging it.
And I think he
That's
goes
a worldly
further.
temporal term, judging. You know, but
Yeah, I think the whole
the essence is there. Yeah, you're absolutely right.
yeah, God is just. He's the judge of all the earth, and I think I see a ton of scriptures standing before the judgment seat of Christ. It talks about
Yeah.
we're going to stand before Him, and
Yeah.
the question is,
Well, maybe you're sitting down. I don't know about
all right,
that.
maybe,
but
all right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think
Okay.
actually what'll happen is I'll probably be flat on my face, and I
Yeah.
think everybody ought to be, but many people are rebellious, and so they're
Well,
going to.
You're using
shape-
you're using physical terms for things that are ephemeral, but it's okay. It's good. It's not wrong.
Okay.
But you're doing the best you can. That's it, and it's good.
Right.
It's the bottom line is there anyway. So the rest.
So let's say, all right, so because I understand the Bible to mean that there's going to be a judgment for every single person, and the question becomes, how are we going to do on that day? And so let me ask you this: if I'm right, and we die, and we stand before God, or we sit before Him, however you want to put it, and He says, you know,
Well, a day in the Bible is not 24 hours, and there's another confusion with Bible people. They always say God in one day going to judge us. A God's day, I don't know what that is. But he says a day only because a day meaning a time period. What else would he say?
well,
What's the God term for a day? I don't know. He never told us.
You know,
that.
Hebrew. I've looked into this a little bit. The Hebrew word for day is yom, and yom is a word when it's coupled with a number. It always means a 24-hour period. So, like the days of creation, I believe are 24-hour days. People can argue that point. It also says that a day for God is like 1,000 years, and 1,000 years is like a day.
Yeah, but there isn't 24 hours in a day. By the way.
There not in our day. There's not
No,
24.
it's only 23.457. Now you see what happens there. All of a
Wait a
sudden we're
minute.
using temporal terms to describe a day. No, if a day was perfect, you wouldn't have 1 month 30 days, and next one 31 days and leap years.
Wait, hold on.
What are we
Hold on.
talking
If
about?
one day is 23.45.
Yeah. It's not 24 hours.
Well, aren't there 12? I'm so confused. All right, let me ask this: are there 60 minutes in an hour?
Yes.
Okay, 60 seconds in a minute.
Yeah.
Okay. 24 hours in a day is. So we're not calling it. So what is a day? What is a
Well,
day?
a day is a
then?
clock thing. That doesn't mean the Earth does that exactly, and that's because you have to adjust. You have to adjust the time.
All right.
Otherwise, every month would be 31 days or whatever you wanted to do it.
But here's the concern I have, Eddie. My concern is this.
That's what I'm saying. The trouble with definitions. You got to be so careful with definitions because it's a worldly, temporal term to explain the thing of God.
Right, but if we don't put definitions on things, we can make things up, and you and I can't even talk. Like I'm using the word talk, meaning words coming out of my mouth.
Right.
You know, you're listening. You know, so your ears are operating, and you're hearing. I mean, we can't even well, wait a minute. You're defining talk as words coming out of your mouth. Like, of course, that's how we function as a society.
Well,
you know what it reminds me of? I listened to a debate last night.
Let me say this to you.
Yeah.
A word is a label on an idea. That's all. But it's not a perfect label.
Okay.
Because you can say street, but is it 3 feet long or 50 feet long? You can say a lot of things in temporal terms,
If I say the
there's no
length of the
exactness
street,
in it,
if I say the length of the street is 50 feet long, is the length of the street 50 feet long?
yes.
Wait a minute. You just put a definition on that. You just labeled that street 50 feet.
I'm wrong.
So it's not 50 feet?
No.
It's not, but I said it is 50 feet.
Right.
So it could be 50 feet and not 50 feet at the same time?
Well, I'll tell you why. Because the Earth is round. So when you go 50 feet, guess what? You're going about 51 and a half.
All right.
All I'm trying to help you with is be always just remember, and I'm not telling you to listen to me, just remember, definitions are wonderful. The Bible is the Word of God, written by the apostles and written, especially the New Testament and the Old Bible. I don't even know if they know who read them. In fact, there's a lot of the books they've denied because they didn't like them. I can name you books that were never in the Bible. How come? If it's the Word of God,
They
how
didn't
come?
meet. They didn't meet the
Well,
criteria.
I didn't like this author. Oh, now wait a minute. Now you're talking human term. You don't like this author, so you take him out of the Bible. King James did it in the Dewey version of the Catholics, in the meaning of Nicaea and all that stuff.
Well, the canon was closed way prior to the Council of Nicaea.
Where are we going now?
That was my house, my old house.
Oh, you got to go there?
Yeah, we got to pick up a refrigerator.
Oh.
Mike's supposed to meet
Gee, I
us.
thought I
there.
was getting screwed up.
Yeah. No, I know exactly where we're at, and then we're going to go.
Good.
This is a
What's
neighborhood.
good talk.
This is a neighborhood I grew up. Well, we didn't finish
You'll
though.
never know. Well, you're never going to finish. Write that one down.
But we can put a cap on this. Look, my friend Rick used to live right there. My friend Steve used to live right
Good
there.
for you.
We used to play baseball right behind there, which is now King of Drugs. Isn't that sad? You go back to your old neighborhood, and
Well,
the
just
place you
remember
used
the
to play
beautiful
ball
times
is
you
now a
had.
parking lot.
I understand that. That's
Yeah.
nostalgia.
Yeah, that makes me sad. This was my best friend right over here. His house
shouldn't
here.
make you sad. You should be happy.
He had a pool in his backyard, and I was walking by here a couple years ago,
Yeah.
and I looked in the backyard, and the pool was all filled in, and it was grass, and the grass had grown, and it was green, and it was like that pool had never existed. All the fun we had back there.
Ah, sweet Auburn village of my youth. Great poem. Explains that.
We got to finish our count. I'm gonna try and back this in without
Where's
hitting.
Mike?
I got
That's his
four.
truck. Is that Mike's truck? No.
I got 4 cars all up in here. Let me see if I can do this.
Oh, sweet Auburn village of my youth.
But you know what? Some of the talk with all that, I listened to a debate last night. This guy named John Shelby Spong, he was like unwilling to put a label on anything. He's just like, God is this, God is that, God is spirit, He's
How's he know?
consciousness.
How's he know?
Well, so I'm saying we gotta have a plumb line. We gotta have a standard. We have no standard. How do you say anything about anything? You know what I'm saying? Like he believed the Bible was totally corrupted, but yet he was quoting the Bible and appealing to it on the regular, but yet not believing that it was truthful.
Let's be honest.
And most of it.
We can only know things through our senses, which are somewhat limited, obviously.
Look at Mike's here. Look at the timing. Yeah,
I can't wait till that flying saucer science. People come down there 50 times smarter than we are, and they got their God and everything. And you know what? Same God.
Well, maybe.
Same God.
Well, it could be our God has not revealed that to us. He hasn't said either way.
Yeah, I don't think he wanted to confuse us anyway. He wasn't an astronomer or an astrologer or a science teacher.
Who?
Jesus, he was a spiritual leader. Why
Was
would he
Jesus
get into all that stuff?
Was Jesus God?
Huh?
Was Jesus God?
The Son of God.
Was
I
he
believe
God?
in the Trinity, most certainly.
Okay.
No question.
Yeah.
No question. Hey, when a guy walks across the water in front of you and he brings a dead man up and you say, wait a minute, this is not a normal man.
Sure.
Really. And I believe that. And why, when my mother was over there, she was on the Masada and all that. Oh, I'd love to see that. And she walked where Jesus on the way of the cross. Oh, boy.
Yeah, all right. We'll have to continue. All right. What's up, Mike? I need my feet to thaw out here. Oh, it's so cold.
Did you
So
ever
snowy.
read Ignatius Loyola or Savonarola or any of those great
Ignatius?
therapists?
I'm familiar with Ignatius.
Loyola? Yeah.
I don't know if that's the... the same guy.
Oh yeah, he was a Jesuit.
Jesuit priest. No, so
The founder of the Jesuits.
So what I'm saying is,
He was a great man. I think The Imitation of Christ is one of the best things I ever read.
yeah,
Have you read that?
I have not.
Please, just try it. Then what it's going to add to everything you believe in.
Okay.
It's just refined thought. That's like the guy knows arithmetic, but he doesn't know calculus. Does he know a lot about arithmetic? No, not really. If you don't know calculus. And I think when you get into writers of that, like great poetry, that's considered the calculus of thought.
No, all right,
Because
so
a man can put in four little. Robert Frost, a genius guy. Omar Khayyam was one of my favorite. The Rubaiyat of Omar Khayyam. You ever read that
Robert
one?
Frost is probably
beautiful.
one of the best poets ever.
American poet, yeah.
Well, I mean, I'm only familiar. I studied him in school.
Yeah.
Was it The Road Less Traveled? Right?
Yes.
That's his most
Absolutely.
famous one. And he had some other great ones.
The way I want it reminds me of today. The way a crow shook down on me the dust of snow from the hemlock tree, gave my heart a change of mood, saved some part of the day I had rued.
Huh.
That's Robert Frost.
Oh.
In other words, the beauty of the bird and the snow falling, and he says, really, what a beautiful world it is.
Yeah.
The snow landed on him and he went like this. What a minor problem to have in life. He said, oh my God, I saved some part of the day I had rued. Pretty sharp, huh?
Yeah, absolutely.
My favorite is a Rubaiyat of Omar Khayyam. The Hedonist.
You're incredibly smart. At
I
least
don't think
incredibly
so.
well read. We can say that, can't
I'm
we?
not smart. I wish I was.
You're well read though. Be able to quote that. You got that filling up your noggin there with that smooth poetry.
Awake for the sun who scattered into flight, the stars before him from the field of night.
All right, so
Heed not the rumble of a distant drum. Take the cash and let the credit go.
did you ever read in the epistle of James that he said, chapter 2, verse 10, if you're guilty of one sin, you've broken them all? You ever read that? If you have broken one law, you have broken the whole law. Have you ever read that?
Yeah, I remember it vaguely, but and I know the point.
So even
The
if that's a
value is
venial,
that-
even if that's a venial sin, which I understand the distinction you guys make between mortal and venial, but if you commit that venial sin, even let's say the mortal sin, which kills all the grace that you have accrued through your own good works, God is going to judge you according to breaking all of the laws because you have broken that one. That's what he says in his word.
In fact, I'll give you an example. Abe Lincoln talked about that. And one day he walked 4 or 5 miles to bring 2 pennies back to a guy. And the guy says, wait a minute. You mean you walked all that way to bring me? He says, there's no degrees of honesty. There's no degrees of lying. There's no degrees of anything. If you're lying, you're breaking the truth. You're breaking the truth. You're not breaking all the sins, not committing all the sins, but you did break the truth. Isn't that and that is the truth.
Right.
So he said, what? And the guy said, well, what a great answer. Yeah, there's no degrees of honesty. If you steal a penny, you're a thief. That covers everything, don't it? You're in the category of a thief.
Right.
That doesn't mean you stole everybody, obviously. That would be ridiculous. That's not even logical.
Well, and what if God says you break one of his laws, you're a complete law breaker? And that's worthy of his wrath and punishment in a place called hell.
That's what he said. I can't go argue with that.
So back to
no point to argue.
So back to my scenario, you're standing before him, guilty as can be. What are you going to say to him in that moment?
Guilty, because he knows anyway. He's omniscient.
Right.
What? I'm going to lie to God. Wait a minute.
So you have no defense. You have no defense at that point. Should God punish you?
My defense is his mercy.
Okay.
That's what it means.
Why would he be merciful?
God.
Why would he be merciful? In what way would he be merciful?
Because God created us, and I'm sure he feels that he's part of what happens in the world. Although he even created Satan. Unfortunately, Satan went the other way. And not God's fault. It's not God's fault.
Right.
that Satan was evil. But he went right to the gates of hell to save Satan. There's a quotation somewhere in the Bible there.
God is trying to...
You can be at the gates of hell and have God's mercy and save you.
God is trying to save Satan?
That's the whole idea.
How does God
it's
save...
His greatest lover.
How does God save people?
Huh?
How does he save people?
Through his blessings. Through grace.
Okay.
You believe in grace? I do. Great song, by the way. Amazing Grace. How wretched I was.
Well, how come, Eddie, when I say, how come, I ask you if God is merciful, in what way does he show his mercy, and how does he save people? How come we aren't saying here it's Jesus dying on the cross? How come that didn't come out? How come the word blessings came out instead of Jesus dying on the cross?
Jesus Christ as a Savior, as a redemption for sin.
Yeah.
That's what the cross means. It doesn't mean anything else.
He redeemed, right?
Pardon?
He redeemed those who he died for.
He redeemed all sin.
Right.
All sin.
But isn't that the way in which God shows mercy?
God can show you mercy. If he didn't do that, he couldn't show you mercy. You're a bad guy, and he ain't going to be nice to a bad guy.
Well, the punishment needed to be meted out on someone because God is just. He's going to punish that sin because of his holiness.
Well, he might not punish him temporarily. He could do it spiritually.
Well, that's true. How the
Many a man's been ruined through his own mind and soul. He doesn't. God's not going to make him hit a tree with a car or blow his, or shoot his neighbor. That's temporal.
But let me just be honest with you, Eddie. When I was a Catholic, I never thought about Jesus dying on the cross. It was not important to me. And because I think I got caught up in all kinds of other things, praying to Mary, praying to saints, religious ritual, the things, the communion, what was taking place there on the altar. I got caught up in a lot of that stuff and never thought about Jesus dying on a cross for me, a sinner.
Oh, he did.
I know, but
he loves you.
But in the Catholic Church, I think that is a problem, that they are focusing on too many other things but Christ crucified.
You're supposed to love Catholics.
Oh, I do.
Well,
That's why I talk to them about
love everybody.
Jesus.
They're creatures of God.
Yeah, but I think everybody's created in the image of God, but there are certain people that God has caused to be born again. Are you born again?
Gee, I thought once was enough.
No, ye must be born again.
Oh, I understand that. Sure.
So are you born again?
Yeah, I believe I am, yes.
Oh, okay. All right.
Because I was like you. I learned all the liturgy and all the things. But then I got older. I started understanding the philosophy. But I took time to read. I want to read. I want to read the geniuses of the Catholic faith. Mm-hmm. Okay? And by the way, I read the geniuses of the Protestant faith. And I couldn't see anything, but there was any wrong with either one of them.
I think we got to be reading the Word of God. I think that is where we get the ultimate truth from. I think everybody else can have.
Let me ask you this: if you wanted to learn Shakespeare, wouldn't you want a teacher? Sure, you would.
Yeah,
how were you going to read? I never met anybody who could handle that because he was such a genius.
Right.
So you want a teacher?
I need somebody.
And
to
if I
walk
was
me
moose
through.
hunting up in Northern Canada, you know the first thing I'd do? What would you do?
If I was what?
I'd get a guide.
Yeah.
So all the great writers in all religions were great teachers, and they could enlighten you to what you believe in. They're not trying to enlighten you in their idea. They're only trying to open up Thomas à Kempis, right? And
Thomas Aquinas?
And Thomas à Kempis, all those guys were just geniuses.
No, I think so. I think so.
Because they were talking about the true value of the imitation of Christ.
Right.
And talk about the Bible. And by the way, even all the times I was a Catholic, I never heard anybody mention his name. I didn't get it till I took world literature.
Who, Thomas Aquinas?
Yeah.
Oh, he should have. He was a great Catholic. I mean, he was an apologist. Excellent.
Yeah, but I just stop at Cats and Cheese and ask him who Thomas Aquinas, what book he wrote. Yeah.
Well, now, hey, you're dogging Catholics now.
Huh?
You're dogging Catholics now.
No, I'm not dogging. I'm just saying.
That's all I was saying is that I was there for 30 years and they never preached Jesus to me. They never shared the gospel with me. And that's why I have a little bit of resentment. I love them. I think the organization. I'm not talking about Catholics. You, my mom, anybody who's a Catholic. I love the people. I think the organization, if you will, the religious entity that it is, I think is sinister. I think it takes people away from Jesus Christ by preaching grace plus works, which I think you have clearly shared with me that you're talking about a lot about the works, whereas I say it's all about Jesus.
Priests are only men.
They are. That's true.
They're only men.
They are.
And your preacher's only a man.
That's true. That's true. It's got to be, the focus has got to be on God.
Absolutely.
And is it though? It really is it? Is it on us? Is it more man-centered or is it God-centered? That's how I evaluate things. If it's of God, I say, oh, you know what? That matches up with God. Is I understand like His Word. Right? That's how we understand about who God is, and it makes sense to me.
That's the hierarchy of our religion and our beliefs. Is God. I mean, that's the fountainhead. They call it the Godhead. Yeah. Absolutely. Couldn't agree with it more. But even with the Old Testament and everything else, He sent His Son here, get it all straightened around.
Yeah, and
wouldn't I love if I had any wish in the world just to meet Him? That would be the most marvelous thing.
Well, you're going to.
Yeah, but I ain't in a hurry.
All I'm saying is people know about Jesus and they know about Him dying on the cross. The question is, have they entered into that relationship with Him by being born again? You may have, Addie. You may have. I'm just asking because I care about people, even if I know them for a few hours.
Let's imitate His life. What did Jesus do?
No, I think you're exactly right.
Imitate Him.
Yes, that's what it means to be a follower of His. Walk as He walked.
Well, the one I like is St. Augustine, though.
Yeah. Oh, I love St. Augustine.
The Confessions. Oh,
yeah. You read the Confessions?
Yeah, you went to heaven.
I think so. By grace alone, through faith alone, through Christ alone.